Hello everyone, George DeSantis here with a look at the market for the week ending February 15th, 2019. And as we usually do, let's take a look at the disclaimer. Please be advised that I'm not a professional investment advisor, and therefore, if your intention is to seek professional investment advice, you need to do so with someone else. This video or these videos that I do, I've been doing for some time, simply for educational purposes. It is first and foremost for my own edification. It helps me to orient my thinking for the coming week insofar the market is concerned, and then others may care to look at it. So let's begin by taking a look at some charts of the S&P. So here's a weekly chart of the S&P 500, and as we follow up from last weekend, we saw that we had this bullish engulfing candle 2 weeks ago. And then we had this doji, this small body candlestick, which usually suggests uncertainty or hesitation. But last week, this past week, that was followed by a very bullish week. We have a very bullish green candlestick here. If you look at the moving averages, the 4 exponential moving average, the yellow line, crossed above the 9 here, signaling the beginning of or the continuation of this uptrend at least. And then you have the consolidation of these moving averages here. They're so clustering together. You have the 50-day moving average, 50 week in this case. And then you have the 30 weighted moving average. They're clustering in this area here. But it's interesting to note that we closed nicely above that level. So what are we looking ahead? We're looking at approximately 28.15 as the next resistance level. It was this previous high and close to this previous high, and that is the next hurdle we might need to cross. So the market's looking pretty bullish. We had a nice week last week, and if we look at some of the other indicators, we'll see MACD histogram started trending up here from below the zero line, which is always bullish indication. As you know, Alex Elder in his books talk about one of the best times to be buying an instrument, a stock, an index, or whatever, is when you have the MACD histogram trending up from below the zero line. And that's what it did. And now we're in bullish territory above the zero line. So no doubt about it, this market, the personality, if you wish, of the market has changed to bullish way back here, I think. If you look at Williams percentile is now nicely above the -50, that magenta line. And usually when it's above that 50% line, we are in a bull market. The market tends to be trending up. You could see it happen back here. You could see it happen here again, and here we go again. How far? We don't know. Now the sum of the rate of change indicator is now 5.39, so it's now above 4%, and again that is supporting this bullish scenario. And at the bottom of the chart, RSI 12, which I mentioned many times, it's a very good indicator for the trend on the weekly chart. And you see, as it crossed above 40% here, it continued trending up. And now it's a little below 60%. It's at 58.49. So no need to belabor the point. The market is bullish. S&P is looking very bullish, but we're going to be running into overhead resistance somewhere around 2800, 2815. We'll see how it handles that. So here's a daily chart of the S&P 500. You can see that the 4 crossed over the 9 way back here. That yellow line crossed over the red line, 4 EMA over the 9 EMA. And that was really signaling a continuation of this uptrend. And it remains above the 9 EMA. So, and the 9 EMA is also above the 30 weighted moving average. That is above the 50-day exponential moving average. So these moving averages are above each other, going from lower periods to higher periods, and that is indicative of an uptrend. We should also note that the S&P closed for the first time in a long time, for many months, above the 200-day moving average. This white line here is the 200-day moving average, and many technicians will tell you that's a really key level. If we look at the other indications, the other indicators rather, you'll see that MACD is trending down a bit, but it isn't a classic divergence or bearish divergence of MACD histogram, because we didn't get a drop below the zero line and then a lower high here. That would have been a classic divergence, but we never dropped below the zero line. I mean, one might say it's a divergence because prices are trending up and MACD trending down, but MACD quite capable of doing that and then turning right around again. Williams per centaur is above the minus 50% line, which is very bullish. The sum of the rate of change indicator you can see is above 4%. It's actually at 13.55. And the RSI 12 is above 60%. So all these indicators are supporting the interpretation of this uptrend here. We just simply have to be careful that we are bumping up against this next resistance level, 28.15 approximately. And we are also bumping up against the upper Bollinger Band, which is that 2 standard deviation level. Now, insofar as the general market is concerned, continuing with this theme, here's a clipping from this week's Barron's. It's called a Market Laboratory page. What it simply shows is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, this chart of the industrial average, and it shows the Dow Jones Transportation Average. And so you can see that according to Dow theory, as I understand it anyway, the transports are confirming the new high of the industrials. And the other chart that I find interesting is this one here that shows the put-call ratio. When it's at 60 or thereabouts, which is exactly where it is now, 60%, it's usually a bullish signal, especially if the S&P 100 is anywhere near 125. It's above that right now, but this is a key thing. It's the put-call ratio here. So I just wanted to share that with you. Also like to share these charts with you. These charts we look at from time to time. This one is the chart comparing the new highs and new lows. It's a 5-day average. And you can see that since we had this big drop here, back in December, and the market rallied above the minus 4,000 line, which is what Alex pointed out as a key level. We've been in this uptrend and we're making new highs, many more new highs and lows. Is basically what that shows. And here's the chart with the impulse indicator, the bars colored red, green, and blue. And you can see that we have a green bar once again after having a blue one during last week sometime. On Thursday we had a blue bar. But let's take a look at the weekly chart first. I think we should do that. Here on the weekly chart you can see we continue to have green bars, and for those who are new, the bars are colored red, green, and blue because it's a censoring system. If the bar is red, we are not allowed to buy the market. If the bar is blue, we are allowed to go either long or short, buy it or sell it, short or sell. If the bar is green, we are not allowed to go short. We should be either long or holding. We should be buying or holding what we have. Now, that video that I sent you, those who received the emails, what I did was I used Sandy Shakin's criteria and set up this screen that she would normally, I think she normally uses that screen, or one of them anyway. And I got these very bullish stocks, 6 of them bullish, no bearish, no neutral. So I thought I'd share them with you. You could stop the video and see what the stocks are. But let's just take a quick look at some of them. Some of these I'm not familiar with. I know that this is a Banco Popular. You can see the trend is strong, the industry is strong. Let me open this up for you. The trend is strong, the industry is strong. And let's take a look at the indicators. See, it's very bullish. You can see it's outperforming the rest of the market. It's oversold, and money flow is positive, very positive, in fact. It's not oversold on this line here either, and it's above that long-term trend line. So you'll see that perhaps all of these stocks meet these criteria. You see, very much so. Not oversold here, and it's oversold, not overbought, I should say. Money flow is positive, and so on. Oversold, beating the rest of the market, very bullish. I haven't bought any of these. I just did this screening, and I don't have any. I'm fully invested pretty much, so I don't have any cash on the side to invest right now. But I want to keep a close look at these. Look at of the 6 of them, 5 of them finished in the green on Friday. So you could take a look at that. Here's a quick look at some of the other ones. OTEX, I'm not sure what they do, computer software. And you can see similar kind of a chart. So I am going to start looking at these stocks very carefully and perhaps trading them, not necessarily holding them for any length of time. Unum is an insurance company, UNM. Chart looks, it just broke above this long-term trend line. And it has the same characteristics, you see. And Voya, we've all seen those ads for Voya insurance, right? And we have similar characteristics. So keep that list in mind. And we'll go to a list of stocks that I track. I don't own all of these, of course, I couldn't. I own a few. I'll point out those that I own. AMAT I do not own. Many of these stocks are now overbought, or they're coming out of this overbought region. So let me see how we're doing on time. We do have 3 minutes. This is overbought, for example. We want to buy them when they're oversold, like here, or here, or here, you see? So let's take a look at Broadcom, which is AVGO. I own this one. I did buy it when it was oversold, and it's, it meets those criteria. You could see money flow, relative strength, and the general very bullish score. I don't have a CRCM, which is a consumer discretionary stock. I don't have that one, but it also is one of those that looks like it meets the criteria. I do have Salesforce. I intend to keep it, even though it's overbought right now. But I'm kind of, I'm leaning toward keeping it until it shows me otherwise. Facebook I bought back, but I think I bought it when it was overbought, and it's still somewhat overbought. So it's pulling back here. I'm anticipating that we get a little more drop in the price here again, becomes a little more overbought, and then it becomes a little more oversold, rather. I'm getting confused here. Oversold, and then the price moves up again. I like Facebook. FTNT, which is the Fortinet computer software. I bought this one too, and you can see it's overbought. So these stocks haven't gone very far within the last couple of days or so. This one here, I have Paycom, and you can see that it's oversold, and these other characteristics are good, right? Except for the fact it's above the upper overbought line here. I'll look at, I mentioned PayPal, and let me take a look at it before we run out of time. I have quite a few shares of PayPal. I'm holding on to it, and it's sort of working its way up here to an overbought region. So I have to be careful here now. Do I want to wait until it's overbought? Do I want to take the 4% gain that I have here? I'm not quite sure yet. I'll make that decision soon. Anyway, we do have a 15-minute allocation for this, and if you're interested in Workday, we could take a look at Workday, and you can see that Workday is now overbought. So if you own it, you might wait for it to pull back if you wanted to buy any more. Well, that's all the time we have. I hope you had a great weekend. We'll try and do something like this again next weekend. Have a great day.